Now, when you created your video for how to create a top podcast in 2021, I saw that it discussed strategies for making it into Apple Podcasts Top 100, which for a lot of podcasters is a big goal. It's almost as big as getting Twitter verified, right?
Yeah.
But one strategy that we mention is about having 3 episodes ready to launch. I talk about that a lot from a preparation standpoint, right? When you first launch your podcast, you want to have a bunch of episodes in the can. That way, you're not stressing for content going forward. But you actually took a little bit of a different approach here. Can you explain what the 3 episode idea is and why having 3 episodes ready to go can give you a huge boost in listenership and help you get into that top 100 chart?
For sure. So that's a huge tactic that still works to this day. And if done successfully, can be a huge momentum driver for your show. So the 3 episode principle is, I think it works for a few different reasons. I think outside of the podcast app and how it functions, I think it shows that you're going to actually put forward the time and make this a thing. I know that so many people on your Facebook feed or over on Instagram, they start something and then they go away after 1 episode. So I think it shows people that you're trying to reach out to, that you're serious about it by having those 3 episodes. But more of a platform specific reasoning for why that's so important is because during your new phase of your show, if people listen to your episodes, if they listen to all 3, all of that is viewed as unique viewership or listenership in the eyes of Apple Podcasts. And that helps you tremendously. And so they're not tracking simply just, they're not tracking independent download numbers to dictate the charts. They're seeing increases in viewership and the rate in which that happens. So if you're a brand new show, if you have just 1 episode, that's great. But if you have 3, that can be 3 times as great and 3 times as valuable in terms of how Apple Podcasts ranks their categories. And so when I launched my show, again, with no social media presence really at the time, just simply to my friends and my Facebook communities and whatever, I was able to get in like the top 30 of business podcasts
Oh,
from a
wow.
brand new show, just from leveraging essentially this exact strategy.
Now, do you recommend having all of the episodes released simultaneously? So, what you're saying then is when you release your show, have the 3 episodes ready to go and launch them all at the same time? Or do you recommend having them scheduled out and then saying, okay, next week, next week, next week?
So I would either do them all at once or in consecutive days. So I can't confirm this, but in another conversation that I had with another podcasting person, they said that Apple Podcasts cares even more if it is able to double on a daily basis. So hypothetically, if you were able to do the 1 and then the 2 and then the 3 and everybody was listening, you'd continue to increase your listeners rapidly in the eyes of podcasts, and that would help you out even more. I did them all at once and it was very successful for me, but I would pick one of those 2 and then get into your normal posting cadence after that.
And speaking about posting cadence, kind of tying it back to social media also, if you launch 3 episodes at once, you can then create that social media campaign to have different content going across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And we'll throw TikTok in there as well. But you can have that different content going around all of those, but not just say, okay, for this week, for week number 1, we're going to talk about just this episode, because that could be great, but you will wear out your audience, in my opinion. I think the strategy that you have here not only helps you with Apple Podcast algorithm, but also helps you create a lot of different content that you can put out. For kind of my background with I ran a wrestling podcast for a while. If we go ahead and we had 3 or 4 different episodes each week, we could go ahead and promote, oh, we're going to talk about this show today, then we're going to talk about this show today. And
Mm.
throughout the week, you can have a 7 day fluctuation in different kinds of content. It sounds like the 3 episodes releasing at the same time kind of allows you to not just take advantage of Apple Podcasts, but also then gives you the ability everywhere else to vary your content.
Absolutely. It keeps things fresh. And then just from a general marketing perspective, like in marketing, we're taught that 7 impressions is the magic number before somebody will make an action. I think that can be diminished over on podcasts when it comes to episodes because of how intimate a podcast episode and experience is. So by giving 3 to someone when they first come and show up, you're giving them an opportunity to develop a really deep relationship with you and your content. And there's a lot to be said there because podcasts are so habitual. If you can make them want to commit to that and become a habit, then that is a potential lifelong fan and listener for you right off the top because you gave them the ammunition to build that relationship.
One thing